What's your destiny? Is there something specific designed for you to do? And if you don't do that, you miss the point of being alive. Can you miss this destiny? And do you have to be very active in fulfilling your destiny, or will it happen anyway? The illusion of the reality is built out of endless, countless scripts that are told about this unique one separate form. The entire illusion of the world is a point of view, is a single point of view, yours, and your point of view has countless, endless scripts in which she expressed herself. All these stories have already occurred and not occurring right now. I mean that the potential of everything has already been expressed. It is there. So there are like countless, endless, I don't have the word to describe in how many different ways the separate form which you call yourself has expressed itself, not through time and not through reincarnation, but in this very specific moment. It has already occurred, and it never ever really happened. So the potential of everything that you could have been and expressed your character has already occurred. When you know yourself, you never feel like you missed your destiny or your calling, because you know that in a way, and in the absolute way, you have already expressed yourself in any possible way, any possible conceivable way you can imagine about your own specific story has occurred. This layer of expression which you experience is very narrow, of course, and you see only this specific story, and inside it lies the entire potential of every way your story could have changed. It's like endless, endless crossroads. When you decide in a crossroad to go to the right, so you believe that this is the only way, you left and you went to the right, and everything that happened because you turned right. In the absolute reality, you turned right, but you also turned left, and you also went straight, and you also jumped in the air, and everything that can happen in this crossroad has happened. You only see the one specific decision that is going to the right. It doesn't mean that the other options hasn't occurred in this endless empty moment as a potential. So everything has happened to this separate form that is identifying itself as you. So nothing ever is missed, or you never miss anything. You did everything. Every wildest thing that you can imagine can happen to your character has happened in the same realness that you are experiencing your daily life now. So returning to destiny and calling, if we look at things the way I describe them now, like this endless crossroads, you can easily understand that there can be no one specific way that is right and all the others are some kind of a mistake. So everything that happens to you in this narrow script is not the only thing that is happening to this point of view. So it doesn't get one chance to fulfill her calling. In some way, she did meet the highest potential of herself. It doesn't have to be in the narrow perspective that you are now perceiving as reality. It can happen anywhere in this one moment. But there is a calling or a destiny. And the only calling and destiny is knowing yourself. This is the calling, this is your destiny. To break free from the illusion and return to yourself. And this is fulfilling your highest potential, knowing yourself. So this is your destiny. And somewhere in these endless layers and crossroads, there is a you that has done it or is doing it right now. So you don't miss a thing if it doesn't happen to you right now, here. Of course, to reach this point of knowing yourself, you must fulfill your highest potential. And calling is the way to do that, because calling is the way separate forms uses its talents and its abilities to act in the world in such a way that helps the world. And if she does that faithfully, faithful to itself, to its nature, uses its specific talents, and moving forward, she fulfills her destiny, and then she becomes one with everything, because the true nature of this thing is compassion, and fulfilling one's calling has to be full of compassion. So destiny is every single moment that you live. Everything that happens to you is destined to be. And sometimes you acknowledge your destiny, but most of the times not. Because most people consider destiny as something very, very dramatic that happens to them in a certain moment of time, that everything comes together and something happens, and then they realize, oh, it was meant to be, everything was planned to this moment, this is destiny. But in reality, every moment is built like that. It's just less dramatic in the story, less interesting in the story. Of course, it's not less interesting in the story. Everything is very, very interesting, but because the separate form is so used to the mundane life, so it only sees destiny in the most extreme circumstances. If you were in love with someone and you thought it was your destiny to marry this person and to live your entire life with it, him or her, and it didn't work out. He left you. So there is a character, which is you, inside this oneness, that is in a loving relationship with this person. There is such a script. You have children with this person. It is already a thing that happened. Somewhere in this crossroads, you took another decision. And it has happened. So you cannot describe destiny as a certain thing that only happens once. Destiny happens every single second and is happening in countless ways you cannot grasp to yourself in this oneness, in the other timelines of the story. And it is as real as your reality right now. It is all an illusion. It is all potentials. And this potential of love is fulfilled in another timeline of a story. This is why knowing yourself makes you so peaceful and calm, because you never miss a thing. everything has already happened to you. You don't need it to happen only in this timeline of a story, to this specific timeline of a story of the character. It's not the only one. All the potential is there, so it has happened. So destiny is happening every millisecond. Everything is pre-planned and was destined to happen. There is no place or moment which is not your destiny. This is why you can let go, and you needn't let go. You can let go because it has already, or is already, this thing, this potential. It's expressing itself, and everything is pre-planned, so you can accept what is happening and know that. And inside this thing, you can, and you should, I think I recommend, act to make this timeline the most full and loving and compassionate you can, by acting, not by observing it and waiting to see what happens, because nothing will happen if you don't act. And this will be another timeline of a story. For the character Simcha, which didn't lead such an heroic life. She had a job, a husband, some children, and she lived very, not like a hero of something, and she didn't think anything is so heroic and dramatic and destined to be. But something very dramatic happened in the timeline of this character, in the timeline that is exposed to her right now in this narrow perspective, and this is why she talks. And the thing that happened was destined to happen in this timeline, and it did. She was destined to know herself, and she was destined to know herself, and she can look back and know that she acted inside this reality in a way that promoted this destiny to wake up. She acted. She didn't know that this timeline will end, and it has ended, because it is no longer a timeline of a character, but she didn't know that, and so she acted. But in this timeline, when she knew herself, there are other countless timelines in which she didn't, in the same circumstances. And this was also her destiny, to do that. So when you think about your destiny, it was pre-decided by you. Every way your story can evolve, it has evolved, and in ways you cannot imagine. And there is no specific place which you are destined to be, because knowing yourself and not knowing yourself is the same thing, doesn't matter. But if you are now living this timeline of a story, and you are, maybe it is the timeline in which you were destined to know yourself. Maybe it is. You must act as if it is. And you must try as hard as you can as if it is. Because it's a wonderful way to end this game and all this game of timelines and crossroads, the pure knowing. So you can act, and maybe this is the narrow story in which it is happening to you. Maybe it is your destiny, and you will not know that until you will know yourself. So you were not destined or not destined to be with someone or to do something or to be somewhere. You have done every possible thing that you were destined to do, and everything is this destiny. This is mind-blowing, but this is the truth. So you can let go of this obsessive self-judgment about not reaching your destiny, destination, calling, not doing enough, to reach it. This is your timeline. This is what's happening right now. This is what you do. This is also an expression. It is not better or worse than others. They are all the same. Even the ones that you know yourself, which is the most beautiful way one timeline can end. And I encourage it. But it's not better than the other timelines. And when I talk about the other timelines, much like this timeline and it's appearing like to be a reality, the other timelines are just as real as this timeline, which is not real. So it's all a potential, a great, wonderful potential, a fulfilled potential. You already fulfilled your destiny in countless, endless ways. If you want to know yourself, if you want to reach this place, try as hard as you can, honestly, with an open heart, try it. Maybe this timeline will show you this place. It doesn't matter. Everything is occurs, and looking at all these timelines and crossroads and all these crazy stories, when you narrow it down to what is really happening, this is total bliss and silence in which none of these stories and timelines and endless choices is being done by anyone. I know it's very hard to grasp, because in the one hand you have these endless, countless ways in which you express yourself, and in the other hand the absolute reality is emptiness, is nothingness. But in these scales, the only thing that is this emptiness, silence, or nothingness. And these kinds of stories, the potential, your potential, a fulfilled potential, the way you live it is the way you plan to live it. So you should, I recommend, stop judging yourself if you're doing right or doing wrong, or if you're on the right way, and stop tormenting yourself with these kind of questions and start just expressing yourself as freely as you can, and without expectation and without the fear of not reaching this destiny, this calling, this great thing, just expressing this character the best it can, and see what happens. Maybe this is the crossroad in which you turned so many endless times and reached the end of the crossroads, the end of the road.